All right, welcome back once again. Now we are going to deal with the strategy for answering the purpose questions in the reading section of the TOEFL IBT exam. First of all, as it says here, you may have noticed that the purpose questions are somewhat similar to an implied or inferred meaning. In other words, the actual purpose for why some information was stated is not going to be directly stated. We're not going to say, I'm telling you this because. So you do have to make an inference based upon the information on why it was stated. But it's a little bit different. We're not talking about the reason the implied meaning of some information. We're talking about why the author added that information there. Now, we've covered that a little bit with the strategy or with the summary video, so we're not going to go further into that. But as far as the strategy here, as it mentions here, the most important thing is not necessarily the information itself, but the verb or the verb phrase which is used in the answer choice. Now, I also mentioned that if you do not already know the meanings of these verbs or verb phrases at this point in time, then you might have to do a little bit more studying before you'll be ready for the TOEFL, because these are all very basic verbs. So one thing that I've done is, specifically with this section, I have gone back and linked every single one of the possible verbs or even some nouns here in the question answer choices, or the verb phrase from the answer choices. And all of this is linked directly to the TOEFL database, the GiveMeSomeEnglish TOEFL database. Now, when you click on the word to go to the database, you'll still have to look for the word, but doing that extra little bit of work will make sure that you learn it even more. So if you don't know the verb, or if you just want to get a better idea of what it is, make sure to click the link. This is also true with all of the different examples. Now, in the actual exam, you will not have the verb linked. You won't be able to do that in the exam. This is just for you to study, for those of you who are in the TOEFL Excellence courses here. So if you don't know the verb, definitely click it so you can learn it. That way you'll be ready by the time we get to the exam. So let's go through the step-by-step procedure. First of all, you need to read the question stem fully. That will give you the idea of the information that they're looking for. And with this question type, this is probably the only one where I would say that you should just read the entire reading passage. After you read the question stem, even though there are keywords to show you where that information is, in almost all the cases, the actual answer or the information that will give you the answer is not going to be in the same sentence. It may be, but instead of trying to find the sentence, reading the sentence, going to the answer choice, reading that sentence, realizing that you have to read the surrounding sentences, it would actually probably save you a lot of time if after you read the question stem, you just go directly to reading the entire reading passage. That way, before you read the answer choices, you do have an idea of what the information was about and why it was stated. And then you can compare it to the answer choices down below. So then, you read the entire passage, go through each answer choice one by one to compare that information from the sentence or from the information they're asking about with what you have already learned. And then you eliminate any answer choices which are ridiculous or absurd. For example, here, to explain that Vishnu was better than Shiva. Okay, so even if you don't really know who Vishnu and Shiva are, if you've read the reading passage, you'll know that that's pretty ridiculous. Also, there's nothing that mentions that. So then you can also eliminate any answer choices that are not only ridiculous or absurd, but also any answer choices that are completely irrelevant information, or that are clearly wrong. If you are getting to that point, if you realize, nope, that's wrong, don't even finish reading that sentence. Just move on to the next one. And then for the answer choices which are left, if you only had one or two left, you have to go through and specifically focus on the verb or the verb phrase. Does the information in the reading passage show this? If it doesn't show that, maybe it implies that. okay, so if you get a little bit of information where you think it could be true information, but it's not specifically stated, it's implying, but maybe the verb is to explain. Well, if it's an implication, then it's not explaining it, it's implying it. And therefore, that can't be the answer, even though it could be true information. You have to focus on the verb or the verb phrase here. And this is the key to this particular question type. Does the answer choice does the information in the reading passage fit with exactly what the verb is saying? Does it illustrate this point? Does it show this point? Does it explain this point? Does it give further information about it? If so, then that's the answer. Pick it and move on. So if there is more than one possibility, you have to eliminate the one which is simply just an irrelevant detail. It doesn't have any larger purpose, because then there would not necessarily be any larger reason for why the information was stated. Because a lot of these questions, there is some larger purpose behind why they're asking that question. They're not just going to ask you random detail questions, because that is with the factual information and detail questions. So, just as a quick summary, read the whole question stem, read the entire reading passage so that you get an idea of what the information is about. Compare it to the question, or compare it to the answer choices, and then eliminate any answer choices which are obviously not correct. If there is more than one answer choice left, make sure it fits with the verb so that it is grammatically correct. If it's implying something and it's not showing it, then, for that particular answer choice, that wouldn't be it. If there's only one answer left, that's the one. If there are two answers left and they both seem like they are possibly correct, then go with the one which has a much larger meaning with the entire reading passage. And that's basically how you handle this particular question type. And also, because you are going to be reading the entire reading passage, this is a perfect example of why we save time with the skills and learning the master skills and about learning the tricks and traps, so that you can eliminate time on other questions so that you have more time with questions like this one. So that's pretty much it for the strategy on the purpose questions in the TOEFL reading section. If you have any questions, not only with this video, but with any of the things in the course, you can also ask your questions down below in the comment section there, and I will address them. If there are big enough questions, then I will make a video about it. But that's pretty much it for the strategy for answering the purpose questions in the TOEFL IBT exam. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you in the next lesson.